Hi guys, this is Uma from Anywhere's Couture, and today we'll be making this beautiful jumpsuit you can see here on your screen. So if this is what you would like to watch, if this is what you would like to learn, please stay glued to the channel. We'll be making replicas of this. This is an order from a customer to replicate what I made before for her mom. So please stay tuned. Thanks very much. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Hi guys. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, for this tutorial, welcome back to my channel. Sorry. This is Uma from Anywhere's Couture. So you're all welcome back to my channel. Have you liked? Have you shared? Have you subscribed to this channel? Please help us out. Okay. For this class, we'll be making a cut together jumpsuit. Okay, so there will be no joining at the waistline. It's just a straight down jumpsuit. But the down part, the lower part would be a bit bogus, like a palazzo. I'm using not close to 3 yards for this tutorial. Okay, and it's going to be a sleeveless. It's going to be a sleeveless jumpsuit. A sleeveless jumpsuit from the upper parts. Then every other thing will follow. So her length. I'm using the length of her dress. So if you didn't take the length of her dress, you could as well take the length of the customer's measurement from where they want it to start to where it will end. So for her dress is 52.5. So I'm adding extra 2. The extra 2 I'm adding is for there's what I do whenever I cut my pants. I always add extra 2 so that the midpoint that's in between your thigh will not be jumping up whenever you wear it. So I added extra 2, that's 54. Then plus my sewing allowance, which is 2 inches. So that's what I did from this upper part. You can see I already measured. Sorry, my table is not long enough. So this is my 2-inch sewing allowance that I brought out. So every other thing is my length of the jumpsuit. So what to do next is, her hip is 35. I'll go ahead and divide the hip by 10 in order for us to be able to get the crouch placement, the crouch measurement and the placement. So I did 35 divided by 10. So I got 3.5. So I took 3.5 from the midpoint all the way down. Okay. So I'll go ahead and impute all my vertical measurements now. Okay. So her shoulder is 6.5. She's a shoulder 13. So I will use that to form a square. But remember, this is a sleeveless dress. You don't want the armhole to be too open. So this is me taking the measurement from after the 3.5, the 3.5 mark, which I made. Always remember to cut off the self edge, the factory edge of the fabric. You really don't need it if you're doing a professional job. So I'm cutting it off. Okay. So I'll go ahead and impute my shoulder measurement after the 3.5 mark, which I made. So her shoulder is 6.5. There will be no sewing allowance because this is a sleeveless dress. I will still come in more, so there's no need for a sewing allowance. So 6.5 after my 3.5, please do not make that mistake because you're going to practically sew that part in. So at this point, which is the depth of the armhole, I think I will just do 6 inches. So by the time I'm done sewing every part of this cloth, the armhole will not be too wide at the end of the day. Okay. So I'll just make a rule. It's for a small size, so don't be bothered about the measurement. 6.5. So I did 6 here. So at this point, I'm doing 6.5. I just use this in forming a square. I hope you can see the choppings very well. Okay. So after which I will impute the bust points, waistline, hip line. Okay. So from the top line, I will impute her bust point. Her bust point is at 9. Plus my sewing allowance, which is 9 inch, 9.5. Okay. front, her back half length. So whenever I'm making a jumpsuit, I don't use the accurate back half length. Her back half length is 15, while her front half length is 16. So most times when I want to make a jumpsuit, I want it to sit well on the waistline, and I don't want the customer complaining that it's choking them somewhere. So for her back half length is 15. So I'll just go ahead and use 16. I always add 1 or 2. When the person is quite busty, I add +2. And when the person is not too busty, I just leave it at that +1. Sorry, yes, +1. So now for her back half length is 15, so I will add +1, which is 16, plus my sewing allowance, which is at 16 and a half. So at that point, I will come down with my tape and measure her hip depth. To the small size, I will use 6.5, 7 for her hip depth. So let's just use 6.5. Then I like to add my extra 1.5 to balance up the hip, so that whenever the person is wearing it, they won't be looking funny. You won't be having that sharp curve on the hip line. So I'm ruling all lines now. This is me ruling all lines. So this is my bust point I'm ruling currently on. Okay, and this is my shoulder line. So the shoulder line is looking too small. I think I will just leave it at the same 6.5. Okay, I'll leave it at the same 6.5. When I'm done sewing, I'll know what to do. Okay, it's looking too small for me. I'll know what to do. So I'll go ahead and impute all my horizontal measurements now. Her hip, her bust is 31, 30 is 7.5, that's 7.6 if I'm right. So it's a jumpsuit and I don't want it to be too gummy on the body, so I will do half an inch or quarter inch ease. Her actual measurement is 7.1. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and impute half an inch ease. I hope you can see it too, plus my 1.5 sewing allowance. Let me check the camera. So what I did was, from after the 3.5, please, and not here, after the 3.5, you know, this is our crouch where we'll measure and impute our crouch measurements. So I did the bust divided by 4, which is 7.1. I added half an inch ease to the bust, and I did the sewing allowance 1.5. So whatever it is I have at this point, I'll bring it up to the chest line. So 7.1, half an inch ease plus my 1.5. So I'll impute the waist measurement as well. Our waist is 25, which is 6.25. There will be no dots for this. Okay, there will be no dots for this. So I'll go ahead and impute my ease as well for all measurements. Okay, plus my 1.5 sewing allowance. So after imputing your waistline measurement, we'll go ahead and impute from after the waistline. We'll go ahead and impute the hip measurement divided by 4 plus 3. Why I added that by 4 plus 3 is, you remember, it's a jumpsuit. You can't use the actual hip measurement. If not, that crouch is going to be stuck on that customer. So her hip is 8.25 plus 3, which is, so from here I would measure 11. Okay, 11.25. I'll just approximate to 11 and a half. Okay, if you can go ahead and discard the 25 if you want to. If you want a more fitted jumpsuit, you can discard maybe quarter or half an inch, but I want this one to be free on the bottom part of that customer, on her crouch area. So after my waistline, I will impute my hip divided by 4 plus 3 inches. Please don't forget that for a jumpsuit, a coupled together jumpsuit. Hip divided by 4 plus 3, or better yet, go ahead and measure that customer from where the waistline is to crouch depth by sitting down. From my waistline depth now, I'll go ahead and impute my actual hip measurements now after my 3.5, please, not from the 3.5 line. After my 3.5, I'll go ahead and impute my actual hip, which is 8.25. remember, for others I did, after the real measurement I did plus half an inch ease. So for this I will do 1 inch ease, which is at 1 inch here, plus my 1.5 sewing allowance, plus my 1.5 sewing allowance. I hope you can see the chopping very well. So I said after the 3.5 I will impute my actual hip. So I will make all connections from my waist to the hip with my French curve. Bless me. With my French curve, I will make all connections there. So I always, after my hip line, I always put an extra 1.5 for a small size, just to balance up the hip. It's nothing too much, okay? I just like to balance up the hip, because if I make this connection from here to the lower part, it will be looking all sharp. So I just like to balance up the hip. So here we have 11.2, the same 11.2 we have there. I will impute it here, okay? So I'll just make all connections. If you can't make the connections, you can go ahead and use your French curve and connect. Okay, so I'll move down to the lower part. Remember, it's a bit of a shape, so whatever it is you have here, you put it down here and add +2 or +3. But I'll just go ahead from the tip of my fabric now. I'll use a long meter roll and connect it to the second hip line which I need, which is at that 1.5 I made. Okay, I hope it's not confusing. It's quite easy to understand. Okay, on hip line. Okay, so this is me trying to connect now. This is me trying to connect now. So this is for the side of our jumpsuit. Okay, now I'll move over to the crouch extension now. Remember where I place the hip divided by 4 plus 3. This is it. This is the line. So I will use my French curve and connect. I'll make a curve. Okay, I'll make a curve. Just watch the way I make the curve. This is my crouch extension now. So I have made a curve. I hope you can see. So this is the curve I made. This is it. So this is the curve of the crouch depth. So what I will do now is you will go ahead and impute your sewing allowances. Okay, you don't want to cut directly on this curve so it doesn't shorten when you're done sewing. I had to use a blue chalk so that we can see clearly. So I added, after my 3.5, I added 1 inch sewing allowance. I will tell us what that 1 inch sewing allowance is for. Then from my waistline I came down 8 inches. Okay, this is it, 8 inches. Where that 8 inches stopped, I stopped adding my 1 inch sewing allowance and I went ahead to add half an inch. Okay, so when cutting now, I will cut from this half an inch to the 8 inches and I will continue with my 1 inch sewing allowance. Okay, so after adding my sewing allowance, I ruled out my waistline because I'm going to need it to snatch in my waistline for the back with the zipper so that it can lay flat on the zipper part. So I'll go ahead and impute my neck depth and my neck width measurement now at this point. Okay, so anything I'm doing now would be from the 3.5. Please, this is the white chalk which we used in mapping out the crouch extension. Remember, every other measurement came from this white chalk. So for her now, I would do a neck of 3 inches after my 3.5, please. A neck of 3 inches. She's a shoulder 6, shoulders 6.5, half of shoulder 13. Okay, I'll do a neck of 3 inches by 4 or by 5. Let's do at 4.5 for the front. Okay, 3 inches by 4.5 for the front. And for the back, I will connect. I'll make the curve now. Okay. So I'll pass this out to the 1 inch. Then for the back, I would use 1.5 for the depth of her neckline. At this 1.5, I will merge to the neck width. Okay. At this 1.5, I'm going to merge to the neck width. I'll pass this out also. Okay, so I said I was going to reduce the shoulder measurement. I will just reduce it by 1/2 inch. But first, let's take the shoulder slope. For the shoulder 13, I'm using a slope of 1 inch, and I will merge it to the tip of the shoulder. To the tip of her shoulder. Okay. Then I'll divide the armhole by 2. I'll divide the armhole by 2. For the front, I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch. Remember, we're cutting front and back together. So this will be the... Okay, let's just reduce the shoulder instead of coming in. Okay, let's just reduce the shoulder. From the tip of my shoulder now, I will come in by 1/2 inch. You want it to look very beautiful since it's a sleeveless dress. You don't want it to be at the tip of her shoulder. So from my armhole, I will do for both front and back. There's no coming in for front and coming in for back only. Okay, I'll just do front and back together. Okay, so I'll make the curve for both front and back. So I have successfully made the curve for both front and back. So with this armhole we are having, it won't be choking for her. It will still be perfect for her on her shoulder line. So I'll go ahead and cut. But first, before I cut, let's taper the waistline for the zipper allowance. Let's taper the waistline for the zipper allowance. So remember the 1 inch sewing allowance which I did. Okay, in between the 1 inch sewing allowance and the 3.5, you know, this is our actual measurement for the crouch extension. This is what we're working on. So I want to take in that excesses we always remove from our back so that it can lay flat. Okay, so at the middle of the blue and the white chalk, I will take in 1/2 inch. Okay, so this 1/2 inch, I will roll this part upwards to take out the excesses. Then this other part, I will roll it downwards. Just watch me as I do it. So we've gotten this part. This is for the back piece only, please, not for the front piece, for the back piece only. So I have successfully taken out anything that will bulge for the back. So what I'm going to do next is cut, and while cutting, we will cut out the back first. Okay, back first, then front can follow. So I forgot to add, some people would like to leave this crouch part like this all the way straight. Some people like to leave this crouch part like this all the way straight, but I like to come in. This is the midpoint. I like to come in 2 inches more, so that there will be no form of folding. I like to come in 2 inches more, and I will merge to the second hip line. I will just merge to the second hip line with the help of my ruler. Both for front and back, not for one side, front and back. So with the help of my ruler, So when I'm cutting, I will go through here, cut, so that it helps pop any folding, any sort of folding. Let me just cut so you can see. The crouch part is gone. So what you do next is cut the side, of the front and back. So if you still not like and share and subscribe to my channel, go down. This is not good. This is not good for us. Okay, so I'm putting the armhole now. We have an inch in that. So I'll cut the back neckline first. And that's the front neckline, please. Okay, so I'll cut out my shoulder strip. Okay, so what I'll do next is I'll take out the lower piece, the one underneath, okay? So that one will serve as my front, the other will serve at the back, because I need to take out this extension, this excess, the contouring we did at the back. But before that, let me notch my waist, notch my hip, very important please. Always place notches on the pieces before taking them out. I'll notch the bust line, very important please. Okay, so before taking out the back, I will cut out the crouch extension. So please watch as I cut. Please watch as I cut. From that half an inch, I'll slash this open first so I can be able to cut. I'll slash this open to the crouch extension. Okay, so from that half an inch, I will take my, when I get there, I'll follow the shape. Okay, I'm going to take it from this 1 inch and not inside that middle one, please roll. Please roll, please roll. Okay. I'll follow that 1 inch allowance I got out. Okay. So I can successfully take out the front piece now. So this part I'm seeing here now will serve as my back, okay? Then this other part will serve as my front. Then you can redo the neckline. Remember, the front neckline is deeper than the back. If you know you can't do that, you can just place a notch side where you made that first neckline. You can just place a notch line where you made that neckline for the front, okay? So let's just quickly make a notch there so that we know that is where the front neckline will be coming from when I remove this back piece, so that you won't get confused. Placing the back and fold again now to be well aligned, so I can remove that excess at the zipper part. So I'm making sure all notches are together. Okay, so I've done that. Let me just clean to make sure everything is in order. So now it's time to take out the excess at the waistline for the zipper allowance, so I will gladly cut on this line now. I'll gladly cut on the second chalk line, the second blue chalk line. I will cut it to the edge. Okay, so that is it for the back, while we quickly run back to the front and cut the neckline. So I brought back the front piece, so where I made this notch, that would be the depth of my neckline for the front where I made this notch. So I'll use my curl from here and merge to this place here. I will use my curl from there and merge to this place, to the tip of the shoulder. Okay. So after which I will measure the depth of my pockets, the depth of my pockets from the waistline. So I've made the curl. So I will cut. This is from the front. This is for my front piece. So what to do next is, when you want to sew, you can actually cut a facing like this as a separate, or you can go ahead and join the midpoint first at 1 inch. Remember that 1 inch we got for sewing allowance. I'll join the midpoint at 1 inch all the way. When I get to this point, I will still continue that 1 inch, but automatically we have taken out half an inch here, remember. So the curve goes from, the sewing goes from the tip, from here, all the way into the curve, half an inch from here, 1 inch all the way. Then you can come back and cut your facing for it. I'll be using bias for the armhole part. Okay, I will do thing for the back as well. When I join the shoulders together, I will use the bias to tape the edges. So I was saying for my pockets online, so this is the actual waistline, remember, where we made notches. This is the actual waistline. From there I'll come down 2 inches. Okay, I'll come down 2 inches, both for front and back, and from there I will use 6.5 for her pockets mount. I can use 6, which is a small size. I can use 6, but let's just use 6.5. So those are my notches for my pockets. I will place the back and the front together and cut out half an inch away from the hip part. Now when I sew the pocket, it can lay very well. So I will just do that and I'll show us quickly. So as I was saying, guys, I've placed them together. I don't want this video to be too long because it's looking long already. So this is the pockets width, the size of the pockets. So I'll just quickly go ahead and cut out a bit. I like to do that whenever I want to do my pocket. I'll cut out a bit from it so that it won't be encroaching on the seam when you're sewing that cloth. You would like this effect when you try it. It's very, very professional. So I will notch to that part. So I'll make sure I get a pocket for it. I'll cut a pocket for it. Okay, and there will be a strip when I'm done coupling the sides together, where the belts would stay in. There will be a strip on both sides. Okay, guys, if you've learned from this tutorial and you think it's helpful to you, please like, share, and subscribe. So bye, guys. God bless.